happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, November the 11th in the year 2025, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. In high school, I remember we had what we called homeroom banking, and that was we would save our money through one of the local banks, and on the Thursday, I don't know if it was every Thursday or every other Thursday or whatever, we would set up in our homeroom class, and we had our little bank books, and everybody would save their money. I don't remember how often it was, whether it was weekly or monthly, but we'd pull out our little bank books and we'd make our deposits, and with our little bank books, we watched our little savings grow. Later in life, I would see a Black Birmingham millionaire entrepreneur, Dr. A.G. Gaston, who owned a cemetery, a funeral home, a bank, a radio station, and et cetera, and et cetera. Dr. Gaston had a saying, quote, "A part of all you earn is yours to keep," unquote. He encouraged saving 10% of every dollar that you made. He encouraged saving before spending. When I became my own entrepreneur, I reflected on the value of watching your money grow. It has allowed me to have some control over my financial needs and created a lot more freedom in my life. Our G-List guest today is Lesley Telatovich. And Lesley says that she is an Edward Jones financial advisor. She says that growing up, my parents instilled in me the importance of saving money. I remember working hard to complete chores so I could add a new dollar bill to my aluminum Band-Aid can. We all had something similar to that. Over the years, I witnessed this lesson pay off for my parents, who were longtime clients of Edward Jones. Lesley attended the University of North Florida. She graduated magna cum laude in 2002. After college, she says she opened 2 small businesses and was an entrepreneur for 10 years. This eventually led her to the entrepreneurial spirit and culture of Edward Jones. In her spare time, I didn't know this about her, and I've been knowing her for a little while. She enjoys running. She has completed the New York City Marathon twice, the Marine Corps Marathon, and the Chicago Marathon. We look forward to having that conversation with Lesley. Our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl Inc. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Continues to customize the solution that fits your needs, and sometimes Best Girl, in talking about Best Girl, will double talk, as you heard then. We had some issue with sound. So let's go to our roundtable discussion and talk to Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker this morning and see what they got for us. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Gossam. I'm doing well. How are you this morning?
I am doing great. Great. Let's get Michael on here. Good morning, Michael Walker. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning, TG. Good morning, Barbara. I hope you both are doing well.
I see Michael got the memo about the T-shirt, Barbara.
Yeah, y'all forgot. Y'all left me out. I just really hate that y'all left me out of the memo thing, but I'll remember next time.
There you go.
I'll have to ask you next week what you're wearing in advance. Well, Tom, I want to start by offering condolences to the family of Woodrow Lowe. I think you probably know Woodrow. He played football at the University of Alabama. I think one of the first Black players to play there. Passed away last week. He was a star player at the University of Alabama and went on to play in the NFL for the San Diego Chargers as a linebacker. But Woodrow passed away last week. So my condolences to his family, the friends, and his former players, and all the alum of University of Alabama.
Woodrow was a great player.
Yes, yes, he was. He was from Phoenix City, I understand. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Um,
Good man. Sorry.
yes. My condolences to him. And also, what got the news last week that Nancy Pelosi is retiring after 4 decades as a senator. My goodness, that's a long, long time. I mean, in House of Representatives. So they really need to have term limits. I admire her for going ahead and retiring. But there's some others that probably need to join her in retirement. They've been there way too long. But our condolence, our congratulations to.
It has turned into a job for life.
Yeah. Yeah, but they get benefits for life.
Right.
They don't have to stay there for life to get the benefits. That's the thing. They serve one term and they got benefits for life. So, there should be a time limit. And I don't know if they'll ever implement anything like that, but there definitely should be some type of limit.
I agree wholeheartedly. But I don't know if they would have to vote for it.
Right. So. And I don't think it's going to happen. So
I don't think they would.
No.
Michael, what you got going?
Well, you guys know about the No Kings for a Day protests and what have you. And, and
God almighty, before you go, excuse me for cutting you, but did you see how they were booing at that football game?
Oh, yes. Yes. He probably thought they were cheering for him, though, Tom.
Anyway, go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
And not to mention, he wants them to name the new stadium after him.
After him, yeah.
But where I was going with that is kind of funny. Trump just went over to China and had all these meetings with President Xi and all this. So he gets back to the U.S. and he's having a cabinet meeting, and he talks about how the cabinet of President Xi was. And he said he stopped and spoke to this guy, and the guy didn't say anything, just looked straight forward and didn't say a word. And he said, "Are you going to answer me?" And the guy still didn't say anything, just kept looking forward. And President Xi said, "They will not talk, they will not speak." So Trump gets back here to the U.S., he has his cabinet. And so he says, "Man, I've never seen any posture like that. They just stood straight up, chest out, chin forward, and they didn't say anything. Why can't I get that type of loyalty versus leadership?" And he
Wow.
J.D. Vance, and he said, "J.D. Vance, he butts into conversations all the time." He said, "JD, can I get that just for a couple of days, okay?" And they said, Vance looked awkward. And so some people saw the footage, and one guy, he wrote in and he says, "I just figured out why Trump was so bold with his desires. Malignant narcissism."
Yeah.
Plus, he says, "The narcissism is what make him want it. The dementia is what make him say it out loud."
So true.
He's like bailing out loud. Huh?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Another one said, "Your cabinet members can't stand up straight around you because they're too busy waiting their turn to kiss your fat ass."
Damn.
But listen, did you see where they were having this news conference last week, and the guy standing behind him passed out, and he just stood there like, I don't know what to do.
Hey, Robert Kennedy ran.
He left the room. You have to laugh at this stuff. This is ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. I'm thinking, and then Dr. Oz goes over to the man. They got the man's legs in the air. Like, what are they doing? And Trump just standing there, looking straight ahead.
I didn't see it.
It was hilarious, Tom. You got to go back and find the footage on that, because it was. You just had to watch it.
Trump
This
just
is
kept
crazy.
standing there
Yeah,
like this.
just looking around in the air.
Robert
He was afraid to look back.
Robert Kennedy said,
It was like a skit from Saturday Night Live, and they actually redid that on Saturday Night Live. It was hilarious.
Really?
And these are your leaders, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Man, you couldn't read a script like that.
Yeah.
You can't help but laugh. It's just...
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. It was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
just to turn to something that's a little bit serious because of the time that we're in, and giving AI, not A1, but this thing with artificial intelligence and chat GPT, where it can be great on one end, it can also have its downside. And there's a lawsuit that's being filed against OpenAI, where this 23-year-old student used chat GPT to assist in his suicide. And the lawyer is filing a lawsuit and saying that chat GPT goaded him, or from that standpoint, like the guy saying he has the gun and what have you, and chat GPT saying it's going to be okay and stuff like that. And there were some times when it had some sensitivity, but there were times where it did not. And then they started to kind of joke and stuff about things, and this kid ended up killing himself, and they were able to say that. And there's been some other instances. One thing, and in looking at this healthcare law, a course that I'm taking, they are talking about how hospitals are using AI to help with treatment and stuff like this and all of these things. But one thing that they have to look at is some internal biases with AI that could cause inequality with treatment between ethnicity groups. And basically what they're saying is that the people, because AI just didn't appear,
Right.
it has some
Somebody
human
created
interaction
it.
in it, right?
Exactly.
And I know that it's supposed to be based on algorithms and all of this type of stuff and numerical data and what have you. And they say that numerical data is objective, but they're saying that some of the biases, personal biases of the people that are creating these codes, could cause AI to push inequality when it comes to healthcare services. So these are some things that we really got to watch with AI. And like I said, like technology, it can be good or bad, just depending on how it's used.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Depends on who's
Exactly.
using it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Barbara, you got anything else?
I do, Tom. I've got a really feel-good story that I want to share with you and Michael. Edwin Castro, man from California, won the $2 billion Powerball jackpot a couple of weeks ago. And, this man could have vanished into, going into, retirement and enjoying life. But instead, chasing personal gain, he purchased fire-ravaged land in Altadena, California, to reconstruct homes that were destroyed by the fires, and he's going to sell these homes at reasonable prices to the people who've lost them. So this is really something that you don't hear a lot about, people giving back to the community. But he said he grew up there, he cares about the people in that area. For him to take his $1 billion Powerball money and to rebuild the community and make sure that the people have homes and can get back into their homes. I thought that was a really good story. Wanted to share that with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Anything else from you guys?
Well, let's at least give DJ Durkin and the Auburn football team its props for the valiant effort they showed on Saturday night. It's interesting. You never look for moral victories in a loss, and I agree with that. I understand it, but even though they didn't win, you didn't feel as bad in this game as these other losses we had, because you saw the fight, the effort. You even, in my opinion, you saw much better coaching from an offensive standpoint. And Derek Nix, he called a great game.
Yes,
And
he did.
I think that game came down to two plays that went against Auburn. When I say went against, I'm not talking about officiating. I'm talking about a breakdown in the defense when the Vanderbilt wide receiver was left wide open and went in. That was a give-up touchdown right there. And then the other one was when I think we were up 14-3 or something like that. We were driving. We were down on the 3-yard line, and they came in with this heavy jumbo set where they flipped the left tackle over the right tackle, put him kind of in the backfield a little bit. And I'd be damn if he didn't jump off sides and we had to go back, you
Yeah.
know, because that would have put us up 21-3 at that time and
Right.
stuff. And I'm kind of wondering if the defense is not getting worn down, because the defense has carried this team for the entire year. That was their
Yes.
worst defensive performance.
Right.
See, that's where the game was lost.
Right.
Getting a touchdown, we got a field goal.
Yes.
And you watch a game and there are momentum swings, there are energy swings. And at that point, if you go up 21-3, if they score a touchdown, they still are 2 scores behind.
Right.
But if you go up 17-3 and they score a touchdown, now it's 17-10, they're right back in.
Right. Right.
And mentally, they know they can win.
Yes.
And a lot of it's mental. And so you get them down 21-3, they're scared now. If you get another score, the game's over.
Right.
And I just think that's what when I think I text you when they get that field goal. I said, you ain't gonna win with field goals.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But I was so proud of Ashton Daniels and how he played, and I don't know why he hasn't started all year.
Money.
Well, because it wasn't an open competition. It wasn't an open competition. That's why.
And it should have been.
I think it's you have to pay you have to play who you're paying.
But if Ashton Daniels had started all year and Nix had been calling the plays, I think Auburn's record would be much better than what it is right now. So I wish they made some changes a lot earlier, but it is what it is. But I'm excited about, what the team is doing right now. I'm actually going to go to a game in a couple of weeks. I haven't been to a game in 2 years, so it's going to be fun.
So DJ Durkin was a coach at Maryland, I understand.
Yeah, he was a head coach at Maryland. And, the rub on him is, and you know how these things happen, but they were practicing and a player got overheated, had a heat stroke and died. So he got blamed for that.
Yeah.
So
you gonna get blamed for it. It's under your
right.
rule.
Yeah.
Now I don't know, but I know that when you're out there in the summertime, coaches have to take you have to be very careful because.
But if you all watch his press conferences, even his press conferences are so different than what Freeze was talking about. So, like I said, the whole demeanor around the team, their motivation, it seems to have improved, and I think the players are playing harder, definitely playing smarter. So
they ain't playing smarter. They had 12 penalties. That ain't playing smarter.
But right.
No, they are playing harder, but they're not playing smarter. But that's what you have when your best players are young players. Mm-hmm. They haven't learned how to win on that level. Maybe they came from high school where they were all world, but that's different than being up here where you got a lot of other people that were all world. Okay. Yes. So that's where technique and mental acuity comes into place on that.
Yeah.
Maybe I just see it all differently, but we had to play differently.
Yeah.
You didn't tolerate mistakes. And you made a mistake, your ass was going to sit on that bench.
Yes. Yes.
Pat Sullivan told me a great story about they were playing Houston or SMU out in Texas somewhere, and it was 4th down, and Suge sent the punting team in. And Pat waved them off, sent the punting team back out and went for it, and he didn't get it. And he said Suge met him halfway off the field and put his arm around him, and everybody thought Suge was hugging him and whispering stuff. He said Suge was choking the shit out of him. And he didn't play another down that game.
Oh, wow. The way it should have been.
Anyway, let's move on because we got a great guest here. Let's get Sean and see if she's got a minute for it.
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. It's Veterans Day, a federal holiday dedicated to honoring all who served in the U.S. Armed Forces in times of war or peace, as well as marking the end of World War I. As a tribute to veterans and active duty military personnel, many restaurants across the U.S. have food specials today. Most Veteran Day deals require a form of veteran, military, or military dependent identification card showing your time of service. Many offers are limited to dining guests as well. Always check with your closest location to confirm participation. Some of those restaurants include Applebee's, Chipotle, Krispy Kreme, Red Lobster, Starbucks, and Cracker Barrel. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Sean, we appreciate it, and apparently there was an issue earlier with the internet, and one of the great, wonderful things about Sean and Emily is they took care of it before we ever got on the air, and we haven't had any issues. So thank you very much, Sean, not just for the Got a Minute, but for taking care of things. Because Michael said, are we going to be all right? I said, Sean's got it, man. Anyway, well, Hollywood's got the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G list, and our G list guest today is Lesley Telatovich. Lesley is an Edward Jones financial advisor. She attended the University of North Florida, graduated magna cum laude. After college, she opened 2 small businesses and was an entrepreneur for 10 years, and this eventually led to her entrepreneurial spirit and culture of Edward Jones. She says that her parents were Edward Jones clients, and they lived off 2 teacher salaries. Due to the guidance of their financial advisor, they were able to retire very comfortably and do what they love. She says, as a financial advisor, she invests her time providing a personalized approach by listening to what is truly most important to you. She can work with your CPA, your attorney, or other professional to help determine your most appropriate financial strategy. Her greatest joy is being a mom to her 3 sons, aged 15, 14, and 8. She loves spending time with them outdoors, such as camping on the beach. In her spare time, she enjoys running. As I said earlier, she's completed the New York City Marathon twice, the Marine Corps Marathon, and the Chicago Marathon. So let's get a hand to Lesley Telatovich. Good morning, Lesley. How are you?
Good morning, Tom. I am doing very good. How are you doing today?
Oh, we're doing fine. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. I feel honored to be asked to be on your show. So thank you for having me.
We're having fun. Barbara always kicks it off here, so we're going to let Barbara go. She's got a question for you.
All right.
Yes. Good morning, Lesley. How are you this morning?
I am good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Talk about your early beginnings. Where did you get that spirit from? Wanting to save and wanting to be involved in financial stability, and just get us started on the path and where you got started.
Well, as Tom had mentioned, my parents were both school teachers. They both kind of came from nothing. They both became school teachers. So growing up, things were very, you only got what you needed around the house. There weren't extras, there weren't frills. At Christmas time, I remember, some of my friends getting all these great designer clothes and everything, and I'd have them on my Christmas list, and 9 times out of 10 probably didn't get them, So it was just, growing up, like I said, we had what we needed. We had lots of love in my home, but there weren't a lot of extras, financially, with both my parents being school teachers. And I just remember, they made me do chores every week, as did every, kid when we were younger, and we would get $1 when we completed our chore. And like Tom said too, the old aluminum Band-Aid cans. I had 2 sisters. So me and my 2 sisters, we had one each in the cabinet. And so every time I'd get that $1 and I'd put it in my can, and I just like saving my money. Some people get their money and they immediately, burns a hole in their pocket and they want to go spend it. But for me, something about saving that money up and using it for a purchase or putting it in my savings account that my parents had opened up for me just felt rewarding. And so saving to me was something at a very young age I took pride in and enjoyed doing. And it just kind of carried over into my adult years. And I've just always been, I got this from my dad, but I've always been a budgeter. Like, you should see my little budget every month to this day. You know, it's handwritten out, and, you know, all my bills and everything. And it's just something I've always been interested in and passionate about. And, you know, saving's always been important to me.
Very good. Yes.
Michael?
Yeah, you mean your budget is not on an Excel spreadsheet? It's handwritten?
You would think, right? I'm not gonna lie. I should have brought it with me. It's literally handwritten out. Like I have a template, and I go in every month and I fill it out. There's something rewarding about that. I have no idea. It's kind of weird. Yes, there's something rewarding when I sit down every month and I write it out and I update it every week, you know, to make sure I'm on track. And it's just totally old school style. So no computers, no templates.
You get a kick out of putting that check mark by.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
scratching it out, huh?
That's right. Yeah.
That's my thing. I love to be able to scratch something out. You know, it's like,
Oh, I'm a list person. I'm a list person all the way. I have a today's list, a weekly list, a monthly list, or something about, just marking those tasks off. You're like, oh, I feel good.
That's great.
Well, now I get to my real question. Let me ask you this. As an investor and an advisor, especially when you're advising other people's money, part of your job is especially trying to figure out what to invest it in the stock market. So my question to you is, given the market maker, chief market maker himself, Donald J. Trump, he says stuff, the market reacts.
Right.
So how do you thread that needle in protecting your client's nest egg and growing their money, given dealing with a market maker like Donald Trump?
Right. Great question. So it really starts from the beginning when you sit down with that client and you talk to them, you get to know them, what's important to you, how are we going to invest your money? You know, do you want to be an aggressive investor? Do you want to be more conservative? And really, so that's basically like, what's your risk tolerance with the market? But we also want to look at time in the market. You know, is this a 20-year-old coming to talk to me, or is this a 60-year-old that's going to retire in 5 years? You know, because that 20 or 30-year-old coming to talk to me, we don't really focus on the market swings, ups and downs, because they're probably going to go through 20 of them before they reach, you know, near retirement age. So, you know, we always take into effect, like I said, age. We take into effect risk tolerance. And really, we set, what is your long-term goal? Like, where do you see yourself when you retire? And the ups and downs in the markets, as scary as they can seem real time, we don't hyper focus on those, because we're really looking at that long-term goal, because we know that the dips come and they go. I mean, a dip is basically defined as anything more than a 5% drop off of your market high. And we see anywhere, like usually about 5 to 7 of those within a given year. So those are calculated into the portfolio. So, you know, when the market drops, you know, if Donald Trump gets on the TV and says something, the market drops, you know, 2, 3, 4% that day, that's not a huge concern to us, because we know what our long-term goal is, and that we will recover from that and be able to move on and still accomplish our goals, because those dips and those corrections and those bear markets are calculated into our strategy. I mean, it dips about 10%, probably about once a year. And then we have that bear market, that 20% dip usually about every 3 to 5 years, you see one of those. So those are calculated into our strategy. And really just picking well-diversified, tried and true funds that have been around forever. And will they go down? Yes. But they also have a lot of downside protection. And we really don't focus a lot on the media and what's going on there and who's saying what and did the market drop that day. It's more like, where are you at now? Where do you want to be in 10, 15, 20, 30 years? All right, here's our plan. We've calculated those dips and corrections into it.
Thank you.
Right.
Great, Lesley. Thank you.
Yes.
Let me just clarify that Lesley Joyce is on here. Lesley is our financial advisor. So
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Full
Tom and
disclosure.
Dave
Yes.
are
Wonderful.
the best clients ever. I'll just say that too, Tom. So I love them. Every time they come in my office, I just feel happier and better when they leave. They're just full of life. So, yes, love them.
They are.
Barbara?
Yes. So Lesley, I was blessed. I started working with a financial advisor very early in my career, and was able to retire early, semi-retire early at age 55. But at what age do you recommend people start talking to a financial advisor, and what do they need to bring to you when they get ready to talk about
Good.
their financial goals?
Right. So really anything at least 10 years out from retirement, you need to be talking to a financial advisor. They need to see what you have, what your portfolio looks like, how much of a withdrawal rate you can take off of it when you retire, and not worry about the biggest fear, which is running out of money in retirement. So I would definitely say no less than 10 years out from retirement. That's a perfect age. Usually by that point, people have kind of like their little nest egg build with their 401k or their work. And so they're looking for somebody to guide them up into retirement, talk about Social Security, talk about Medicare. But really, as early as you want to come see me, please do, because time is in your favor when you're talking investing. I speak to a lot of high schools in the area, and there's a hypothetical report that I run, and it shows that if they start saving $100 a month when they're, say, 18, 20, but basically it's a 40-year timeline,
Right.
they would be a millionaire by the time they retire. And that's $100 a month. I mean, that's giving up like a pair of sneakers or something, once a
Right.
month. So the younger you are, the less you have to save. So, come to me when you're 20, 25. Let's just get, I know you're just starting out your career. I don't need $500 or $1,000 from you. Just $100 a month will get them on track to reach that millionaire status in 40 years. Unfortunately, most people don't think about that when they're young. They've
Right.
got life going on and everything, and children.
Right.
So yes, so I would say at least 10 years out from retirement. And really, when people come to me, I ask for them to bring me saving statements, checking, savings, 401k, life insurance. Do you have life insurance? Are you prepared for long-term care needs? What happens in the event that you or maybe your spouse becomes ill, and that really can take a toll on the portfolio. So we look at life insurance as well.
Very good.
So, Lesley, let me ask you something. So you're in Northwest Florida. And we got people on here from all over the country. So if they're in Illinois, and of course there's the Edward Jones office in Illinois, but they just want to deal with you, is that possible?
Yes, that is 100% possible. So if you haven't noticed, there is like an Edward Jones on every corner. The whole strategy of the company, a lot of the bigger companies like Merrill Lynch or Wells will have a huge office building, and they'll house 50 advisors in that building. Edward Jones was started by Ted Jones, and he was just a man who owned a farm, and he wanted to be more family oriented. And so he said, I'm going to put one advisor and one assistant, and we're just going to have multiple offices. So that's kind of the Edward Jones thing. So yes, you probably see, maybe past 5 or 6 on your way to work, or going somewhere on any given day. But I can work with anybody throughout the United States. I'm currently licensed in about 30 states already out of the 50, just from clients moving in and out of the area, family, knowing people. But if you live in a state that I'm not licensed in, then I just apply for it through Edward Jones, and it takes about a day. So to answer your question, yes, I can work with anybody anywhere, and we can Zoom just like technology is wonderful. We can pick up the phone, we can Zoom, and it's just like they're right here in Florida.
Okay.
Michael, Barbara?
I have a question. You remember, I'd like to kind of ask you to make a comparison between Edward Jones and Charles Schwab and Merrill Lynch. But do you remember E.F. Hutton? You remember the commercial when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens.
Yes.
What happened to E.F. Hutton? Is anybody listening to E.F. Hutton anymore?
You know what? That's a great question. I don't know what happened to him. So, A.G. Edwards used to be around too, and so everybody confused Edward Jones with A.G. Edwards, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you were A.G. Edwards, right?" I'm like, "No, I don't know." But you know what? I love Edward Jones and their culture and their philosophy. But people don't come to me for Edward Jones; they come to me for me. Like, you have to find that financial advisor that you connect with, that you trust, that you can build a personal relationship with, and they could work for any company, like Merrill, Schwab. Raymond James, you're not really going for the company more than that person that you trust your life savings with. I mean, you're basically like, here's everything I've worked hard for. Please do right by me. And, not everybody in this industry always does. And so you want to make sure that you find that person that you connect with, that you trust with your life savings, and to guide you. And, in times of need, like whether it's a sickness or the loss of a spouse or a loved one, they turn to you and say, what do I do? How am I going to get through this? And so you want that person, instead of a company.
Yeah. Lesley, you touched on something there. And, there are a lot of financial advisors that get caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
Mm-hmm.
For those that may be thinking about getting a financial advisor, but are concerned about that risk, I know that you carry errors and omission insurance and stuff like that. Speak about what type of protections are in place for an investor that comes to you, and that in the event if something were to happen, how might they be able to recover their funds?
Right. So a lot of the money is backed by the SPIC. So, the money that goes into different funds and investments and CDs, you do have some protection there. And also, most companies, I know our company does, carries a lot of liability insurance against incidences like that. So that way, there would obviously be a complaint, there would be an investigation, and it would be resolved. So I'm not saying 100 times or 100% of the time, you're going to get 100%, your money back. But I know that our company, I can speak to that, carries insurance to protect the investor against a financial advisor that might have done them wrong or done something illegal or things of that nature.
And Lesley, in this day and time of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and all this stuff, what direction do you suggest people go in? Is it stocks? Is it crypto? Is it Bitcoin? Talk about that whole mess of stuff that's going on right now.
So the cryptocurrency world is still kind of bizarre to me. I mean, I basically, to be honest with you, I opened up a very small account in the beginning just because there were so many questions around it. How does it work? What does it do? And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's just this like money floating around out there that you don't feel, it's not tangible, you don't see it, but it's really gaining a lot of hype. So I just kind of opened a small account, got some Bitcoin just to kind of learn more about it. But, to this day, I still recommend that people invest in either individual stocks or mutual funds or bonds. Those have been around for ages. They're tried and true. They're tested. They're market tested. But but I don't discount cryptocurrency. I mean, a lot of people have really made a lot of money off of cryptocurrency. I just know that it's hard to pick the right one and time it and everything. And so, if people come to me and they're like, hey, I really want to have a cryptocurrency portfolio, I encourage them to take a portion of their money that they would not, lose their life over if they lost it. Invest in it just to kind of get that, some people just like the thrill of the cryptocurrency world, or, like the thought of maybe making, a quick dime off of it. So I always encourage people, hey, let's take the majority of your nest egg and keep it, invested here. But if you want to take that 10, 15, 50,000, whatever that number is, and go buy some crypto, then do it. And if you lose it, it's not going to impact your future moving forward and your retirement and your overall financial health.
Right.
You mentioned the word SPIC. What does that mean?
So it's like at a bank when you have FDIC insurance, it's SPIC for the investments.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You said all right.
Yeah, so like if you buy a CD here through Edward Jones, then you're and that bank defaults. Mm-hmm. Then you have insurance against that money. So because we do sell CDs here, as well, just like a bank does. So, like I said, what was it? I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there were a few banks out in California that defaulted, and we actually had a few of those on our platform. And those people, the banks end up getting bought out, and everything was fine anyways. But if the banks hadn't have gotten bought out, then they would have been insured. That money was lost.
Right.
Well, like FDIC is backed by the federal government. What about SPIC? Is it backed by the federal government as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
And,
All right.
So go ahead, Bob.
well, I was going to ask you, Lesley. You talked about how your parents had you and your sisters. You did your tours. You got your allowance, and you put it in that Band-Aid bout. You have three boys. Are you following that same procedure with them?
Yes, yes. So they have a very similar setup where, they basically have certain things they have to do around the house. They get paid for it. Now, I will say this, times have changed. So
It's
they
not
get
a
off
dollar anymore.
get a lot of, yeah, whenever the tooth fairy comes, or it's like, where's my 20 at? It's not the dollar under your pillow anymore. So
Right.
inflation has definitely hit this generation. So no
For
doubt
sure.
about that. Yeah, yeah. But no, I still make them work, and do things to help out around the house. And if they want to make a major purchase, I always tell them sleep on it. Because my middle son, if he gets a $10, $20 bill, that money's just burning a hole in his pocket. He's already been on Amazon. He's picked out what he wants, and he comes to me. He's like, "Buy it now, please."
You're
And I'm
right.
like, "Nope, not doing it." I was like, "Go to bed, sleep on it. If you still want it in a day or two, we'll talk about it."
Okay.
And 9 times out of 10, they never mention it again.
Right.
Yeah.
He's moved on to something else.
Yeah. I use that same philosophy here at work. Like I think Michael, you were talking about earlier about navigating the ups and downs of the markets, and if Trump says something or the government says something, the market drops. I don't get a lot of panic calls because I really educate my clients that it's temporary. But when I do get those panic calls, I tell them the same thing. Obviously I appreciate, or hey, I understand what you're going through. I know it's hard to see, your portfolio drop, but I was like, if you want me to make changes, I want you to sleep on it a night or two, and then we'll talk about it. And, the same thing has happened here at work. I very rarely did anybody call back and say, yeah, I do want to make major changes. After kind of taking a step back and realizing that that moment is temporary and it was more emotionally driven, and they do sleep on it and take a step back, then, they realize that, hey, I trust Lesley. She's got this. We're in it for the long term, and all is good.
Okay.
So somebody wants to know specifically what's the SPIC stand for, what the letters stand for.
The SPIC letters. All
Yeah.
right. Can I look it up? Because I don't want to say the wrong thing. So, all right. SPIC insurance. Oh, I put in.
Oh, you got to.
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Okay.
All right. Securities Investor Protection Corporation.
Okay.
It's the form of investor protection provided by the Securities Investor Protection Corporation. So I'm glad I looked that up because that was a mouthful.
I know.
So I'm going to change the subject just for a minute.
Okay.
Tell me about being a runner. You never told me about being a runner. So how often do you run?
So I run every day.
Oh my goodness. Okay. How far do you run?
Well, a normal day, about 5 miles, 4 to 5 miles. Weekends, I might do 10, 12, depending on, how much stress I have to get out.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Man, that's something.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's my form of just getting ready for the day. Maybe some could call it like meditation, quiet time. I don't run with music. I just run quietly and I gather the thoughts in my head and how I want to get my day started and going. It just kind of sets my day right. And it's my little moment of peace before work and 3 boys.
Okay. Anybody got anything else?
Well, I like to share with you, Lesley. You may get a kick out of this, and if there are any young people listening, they may get a kick out of this. When my children were incubating, and I just found out that we were expecting, I started, and it's a little bit different back in that day than now, but every day that I would come home, whatever loose change I had in my pocket and $1 bills, I put in a big jar like this the day I found out that there was something in the oven. And by the time each of them were born, I had saved $1,200
Oh, wow.
just by doing that on a daily basis. And I never went in to check it to see what it was. I just kept putting them in there each time. And so I was able to count out $1,000 bill with all of them, with both of them right around and stuff like that. And it's amazing how little stuff like that can add
Right.
up if you don't go
Right.
back and get it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I always tell people it's not how much you save, it's the habit of saving. And if you have $25 a month or $50 a month to start saving, just do it. Just get in the habit. And then that will become 100, 200, 300 a month. It's really just starting that habit of saving. And that's kind of a big thing that I tell everybody. I don't care what dollar amount it is, just start doing it.
Right.
So, mhm.
It's something my mom used to do for all the grandkids. Whenever the grandchild was born, she'd buy a piggy bank, put their name on it, and every week she'd take whatever spare change she had left over from the week and she put it in that piggy bank. And the day they graduate high school, that's part of their graduation gift is their piggy bank. My nephew said that he used his piggy bank money to wash clothes at the laundromat the entire 4 years he was in college. And he said it just amazed him. But it was, that's such a huge thing for a child to think, man, I don't have to worry about how I'm going to wash my clothes, which is
Right.
can be major for some. So, that it adds up, and that's every little bit helps.
It does. I love that story. That's great. And also too, I always encourage like my parents and anybody else I talk to, instead of buying 10 gifts for my kid, on their birthday or Christmas, open up a 529 college savings account and put $100 in it, as part of their gifts. So, little things like that you can, that grandparents or parents can help their children out, are huge for them. And there's many ways they can do it, and it all adds up. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to share this with you guys, how to make your money grow, compound interest. My son, when he was about, I guess, 7, 8, he figured out how to be an entrepreneur because my daughter had these basketball shoes by Nelly, Air Force Ones that were real popular. Somebody had given her. So she wouldn't wear them. She just put them up in her closet as a collector's item. Well, my son would go up in there and pull them out every morning, put them in his backpack. He'd go to school and rent them out to kids every day for $5 a day. So they could walk around like they had Air Force Ones, and he'd get the shoes back, clean them, and he kept doing that. So they go to the mall, and he has a pocket full of money. And his mom is saying, how do you get that much money? Because he was telling Michaela, you want some candy? I'll buy you candy and stuff like this. And she says, you too young to have, you in the 3rd grade. How you have that kind of money? You've been in my purse. He says, no, Mom, this is my money. I made this money. She said, well, if you don't tell me, I'm going to whoop your behind where you got the money from. And so he said, well, I rent out Kayla's shoes every day for $5 to bring them back. Everybody thought it was funny except for Michaela, but I thought it was ingenious.
That's very ingenious, man. He was an early entrepreneur. He had the spirit early.
When you talked about having children and putting money aside for them, you guys ever watch Amos and Andy?
Yes.
So
yeah.
So Kingfish was trying to get some money, and so he found out that in his family he had an uncle that whenever anybody in the family had a baby, the uncle would give him $5,000. So Kingfish said, let me see. Kingfish hired this young lady, gave her somebody's baby, and called his uncle and told him he said,
had a baby.
He told her, he said, now I'm gonna call you when my uncle come. I need you to show up here with the baby, So she was across the other room. So the uncle shows up and Kingfish say, hey, you, because he forgot the girl's name. He said, hey, you. She never turned around. He said, hey, you with the baby.
Oh my gosh.
His uncle figured out it wasn't his baby. Oh man.
Oh, that's
But
crazy.
anyway, anybody got anything else? Lesley, you got anything else you want to tell us before you leave us?
No, I'm just, once again, it's been an honor to be with Barbara, and Michael and Tom. Thank you for having me on the show today. I've enjoyed the time here, and hopefully I've been enlightened somebody or encouraged somebody, to start saving and get on the financial path to freedom so you can enjoy those retirement years. So just thank you, everybody. I've enjoyed your time and your conversation. It's been fun.
I have one question I meant to ask you for everybody that's listening and people that may be interested. What licenses do you have? You have a Series 7, and would you talk about those licenses for a moment
Yes.
that you have to do what you do?
In order to become a financial advisor, you have to be licensed in the Series 7 and also the Series 66. So those were done, whenever I first got hired by Edward Jones. You study for them, you pass the 7 and the 66. And I also hold my insurance and annuity license. So I can sell insurance products, life insurance, whether it's term, long-term care, and also annuities as part of just kind of like the whole financial package. Not everybody needs insurance and annuities, but a lot of us do. So I have my insurance license, annuities license, and then 7 and 66.
And Lesley, talk about being a fiduciary and what that means. I hear that term thrown around a lot.
You do, yes. Almost every commercial now you hear on investing, you're like, but are you a fiduciary?
Yes.
So basically, a fiduciary means that you are acting in the best interest of your clients at all times. That you're taking into account their situation, their needs. Is this product suitable for them? Is it truly in their best interest, or is there some other factor come into play that that you like the person that sells that product, or there's a commission involved or something like that. So it's putting all of those outside noises aside and saying, hey, I know my client, I know what he or she needs, and I always have to act in their best interest. And that's that is what being a fiduciary means.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
And how about anti-money laundering? How many times you got to take that course to be aware of people coming to you wanting a big annuity, and basically what they're doing is trying to launder money that will implicate you into a scheme? Have you had a situation like that before?
So you do have to take an anti-money laundering class every year, just to be reminded of the red flags, the rules, and everything. I've never had a situation under my care, but my company has flagged, I think twice over the last 10 years, some larger transactions, that they're like, I'm not sure, that seems like a lot of money, or a lot of, there are just some red flags. And so they send you a questionnaire and you have to answer it, and then send it back to them. And then they, would either go on to investigate or close it, or they're like, okay, that's sufficient. Now we understand. So I have had my company send me a couple of things and say, please explain, the client and what they were doing and what, their goals were. But I've never actually, been a part of anything like that. But they do every year. Part of our CE, or continued education, is we have to take some classes on it.
Cool. Good deal. You guys know, obviously, Michael, if you probably figured, is in the insurance business.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Lesley, you got anything else?
No, I am good. Like I said, I've just thoroughly enjoyed my time today, and thank you guys for letting me be a part of it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. My closing comment for today, or as I see it, today is Veterans Day, a federal holiday in the United States observed annually on November the 11th. The day is for honoring military veterans of the United States Armed Forces. I particularly want to honor my dad and his brothers, my uncles, Aiken, Sonny, and Reese, my mother's brother, Uncle Junior, and our son, Dixon, who all proudly served in the United States military. Also here at TWT, we'd like to honor all the men and women who have served honorably in our United States military. Hope you have a great day. And that's our show for today. Well, actually, I want to say you may have noticed that Michael and I had on these Speak of Me as I Am t-shirts. Speak of Me as I Am actually is taken from Shakespeare's Othello. It's the words Othello uses at the end of the play. It's a play that I wrote and we did, and we had t-shirts for them, and so that's why we had the t-shirts, and we didn't plan on wearing them today together. It just happened that way. So that's our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. We want to thank our G-List guests. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And as always, a special thanks to the audience. And that's it for this November the 11th. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Blessings and peace.